Let me just start by saying, through the information that we have, this lady in September of 2010 received two checks, one in the amount of $75,000 and one in the amount of $500,000. And those checks were from Lynn Scott Trust, and they were there. They were made out to further better the lives of the dogs and cats that were at the Sanctuary Animal Rescue. And April of last year, well, let me go back. After she received these checks, we have evidence that during the months of September 2010 through November 22nd, 2010, she spent $262,000 on personal items, to include a house, 2 vehicles, groceries, household items, entertainment, and dining. And if you all remember last year, in April, we were summoned to the Sanctuary Animal Rescue because of a disturbance. A woman arrived at the sanctuary to pick up 2 of her dogs. She was denied access. Our deputies responded to the complaint and became somewhat alarmed at what he saw with the animals. We summoned St. Lucie County Animal Control, and after a 3-day investigation on site, 167 animals were removed from that sanctuary. So here's a lady that had all of the means available to her to take care of those animals, but decided to spend it all on herself and her family.
What happened to the 167 animals?
Those were divided up among animal shelters here in St. Lucie County, and to the best of my knowledge, some of those were sent out of state to other animal shelters.
And what I guess an animal cruelty investigation, is there anything still
That
going
is
on
still
with that?
ongoing. Our detectives are still following up on that investigation. I know it's now 10 months, but they're still following leads on that investigation, which required the documentation from many veterinarians concerning the care of those animals. And we hope to have that completed here shortly.
She admitted this. I mean, was there any type of, that she was sorry? Was there any type of?
She said at the time that she was crazy, as you read in the report. Also important during this time, she attempted suicide. Let me get the exact date of that.
So she's basically trying to say she didn't know she was buying a house. She didn't know she was buying a car.
Well, she didn't say that. She just said she was crazy. The actual date of the attempted suicide was April 8th, 2011. I don't know if you have that in your report, but we have it. And that shows you, I guess, her frame of mind, where she knew spending all this money on herself and her family was wrong, and maybe guilt and everything else began to gnaw at her, and then she attempted suicide.
I guess, was there any evidence that she had been connected with any crimes similar to this in other states?
To the best of my knowledge, she does not have a past history in other states.
I heard that there was also situations where she was using this shelter to take in animals, on a temporary basis and promise to care for them, and
Then not give them back.
Yeah, are there possible criminal charges forthcoming related to that?
That's one thing we're looking at also.
So how many open investigations do you have? Can you run down?
Don't know.
I mean,
Just one?
Right now, just the animal cruelty aspect of it, which includes what Jay just asked you about.
There you go.
and in your time as sheriff, have you ever seen such an egregious stealing from a nonprofit? I mean, how would she not get caught buying a house?
I know. And those people that were on scene, and sadly I did not go to the scene of this shelter, the people that were on scene said it was the most deplorable conditions they had ever seen in dealing with animals of this nature. So knowing how deplorable those conditions were, and knowing that this lady was entrusted with $575,000 to take care of those animals, sheds a whole new light of severity on the whole situation. If in fact her defense was she didn't have the money, that things were tight, the economy was suffering and she couldn't raise the funds to take care of them. But we know that's not the case, and she had more than enough money to take care of them.
And what kinds of things was she buying?
She bought a bunch of, the tune of just under $2,000 to Redbox, Blockbuster, and video game purchases online. She purchased just under $1,400 for dining. That included purchases from Sonic, Arby's, Checkers, McDonald's, King Buffet, Wendy's, and Taco Bell.
Girls gotta eat.
Girls gotta eat. She had numerous purchases from QVC to include tableware, kitchenware, Kansas City steaks, housewares, decorations, Christmas decorations, computers, jewelry, television, clothes, exercise equipment, perfume, and a Blu-ray player.
Now, has her husband been charged?
Her husband has not been charged. By his statements and by her statements, the husband knew nothing of the money and how it was being spent to acquire these things.
He just thought he could buy a house in cash all of a sudden?
Well, he knew that she had money, and in reality, he wasn't even aware that she had acquired this $575,000 in trust. But she was aware she did have money and bought the house and really didn't ask questions.
Do you think that there's anybody else, or well, I guess, are you guys looking at anybody else in connection with this theft, or is it
We're
just
looking
pretty
at
much-
her and her solely in regard to this theft.
She has one, I guess, at the paper did FDLE check or whatever
Okay.
on her, and said that she had arrested Sumter County like about 2 weeks ago, and then this, I guess, this being booked into jail here, is the Sumter County thing like a warrant related to this?
Yes. It was a warrant that was issued here, and I believe she was arrested in Sumter County. Is that correct?
I believe
Yeah, Bushnell.
Yeah,
Okay.
Bushnell. And then she was transported here.
So basically, her only state criminal history relates to this case.
That is correct.
Okay.
That's Sumter County, Florida. That's okay.
We've cut away. All right, let's roll.
You got it all?
Yeah.
Got enough?